Republican National Committee Chairman Reince Priebus today shooting down any reports about trouble with Donald Trump's presidential campaign.
And don't believe the garbage you read. Let me tell you something. Donald Trump, the Republican Party, all of you, we're going to put him in the White House and save this country together.
Sounds like a unity speech to me. Joining me now, the executive editor for the Weekly Standard, Fred Barnes, and Washington Times columnist and radio host Tammy Bruce, both Fox News contributors. Fred, where's all this advertising about, oh, the Republicans are up in arms, there's a rift, there was going to be a come to Jesus meeting today. Where's that all coming from?
I don't know, but there never was going to be one. And remember, there was going to be this intervention with Rudy Giuliani and Newt Gingrich were going to intervene with Donald Trump, and for some reason, and that didn't happen either. I think Donald Trump has before him a great chance to bring a lot more unity to the Republican Party, and it is the economic issue, one that appeals to all Republicans. And Trump has a Reagan-like economic plan with deep tax cuts and regulatory relief, and Hillary's plan is so bad, the difference is so great that Trump, I think, ought to be hammering it full time and not digressing at all. It can bring a lot more unity than is there. Tammy,
Fred's making a very good point about the fact that this unity business that people have been talking about. Well, Fred says the economy. There's the Supreme Court message about you got to vote for the Supreme Court regardless of whether you don't like the candidates. But we were talking during the break about the fact that there's other things that people need to weigh on this election as well.
Yeah, look, I mean, we're thinking about what's going to happen after the election, of course, because people seem divided. But we're looking at a world that's on fire. The next president is going to have something very serious to have to deal with. Americans then, of course, naturally come together in that kind of a dynamic. But part of the question has to be, who do you want in the White House and controlling the government during an existential crisis? Like September 11th, where you don't quite know what's going to happen. Do you want the Democrats and more of what we've had for 7 years, or do you want the Republicans? And I think most Americans recognize when you've got a military dynamic, the country is under threat, you want the Republicans in office. And Mr. Trump has made it very clear that national security matters to him. He leads on the issue of dealing with terrorism. That is going to be a primary issue after the election, certainly for the next president.
Fred, down the street from your office is the Department of Justice. I've heard both stories about, oh, yes, they are going to go investigate this whole business about the Clinton Foundation and maybe there's some conflict of interest laws that have been broken. Others are saying, nope, they are going to block it. FBI's asked about it, but DOJ says, no, they don't want to look at it. What do you hear?
Well, I've heard it both ways, but I don't really think it makes any difference. If they have an investigation, it's not going to be over by November 8th. Hillary Clinton is not going to be indicted, so Republicans need to look for other issues. I think Tammy makes a good point about terrorism and who do you want in the White House. There are, other than the economy, which I think is the issue which helps him the most, the next one is terrorism. And but Trump needs to be blunt about it, not sarcastic, not saying things like Hillary founded and Obama founded ISIS, but just be blunt about what the threat is. He got where he is by being blunt and straightforward. This isn't the time for sarcasm or cuteness.
You hear that a lot, Tammy. A lot of Republicans saying he's got to stick to the knitting, focus, focus, focus.
Well, look, we want a blend. We want a blend of what made Mr. Trump the nominee, which is bluntness. Fred's absolutely right. And clarity, though. We want some clarity because, as Mr. Trump's finding out right now, the media will not report what he does. They'll report what they want to pretend he did. So he needs to be even more clear, more consistent in the nature of his message. I think he understands that. The best, of course, revenge is success and victory, and I believe that that's what he's going to have in November.
All right. Tammy Bruce, Fred Barnes, thank you both very much. Good to see you.
Thanks, guys.
You bet.